Be looking for cold spots. So first and foremost, you guys should all be able to see me in this camera. I should be the orange, red, and yellow guy. So do you see me in there? So that means I'm the warmest thing inside the picture. So we're gonna be looking for blue and black spots to either take shape or start moving on their own. Now we did capture a very cold spot last night. It was about 30 degrees different than what was actually the ambient temperature. So, then when the camera went back, it was gone. So again, but last week we actually caught a full-bodied apparition in the shape of a full body, and it was completely cold, moving across one of the parking lots.
Is this the temperature you would feel if you went through that?
It's temperature, so yeah, of course you're gonna feel it.
Oh.
But again, this will prove it.
I see.
But I also have other tools to be able to prove things or debunk things pretty quickly in the event we find something in real time. So this is going to record the entire time. So with this, I'm going to tell you to stop it from time to time, and you're going to hit that little red square. I don't want you to do it yet because I like everybody to kind of know what they're watching. There's also a blue dot bouncing around this screen. That blue dot tells us where the coldest spot is in the frame at that particular moment. That will be in your video, so it'll kind of help guide your eye. Right now it is down at the bottom. You see it kind of moving around into that blackened area. Which I'd say looking, so but that's basically what we're looking for. You're going to keep this camera on your left. That's the wire side. Okay? You got it, buddy. Just handle it like you would your Switch. How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Careful, I think you're putting your
Yep, your hand is right in front of the camera.
Just make sure that, yeah.
There, thank you.
There you go.
It's still a little bit on the camera.
Oh, and I know how to use this because I watched Ghostbusters a million times.
Wow! Okay, so we're with some experts.
Found it.
What? Well, that's the coldest thing right now.
So what I'm looking for is it moving. If it's not moving, it's just a cold area.
It might not. It might be because we're not in like a ghost heavy spot
Kind of
right
moving. Nothing feeling moving, but
So we're going to be using
the camera's
various
kind
types
of
of spirit
moving.
boxes throughout the night. So spirit boxes are a way
You can
for us
hold
to
the side of
communicate.
it with your two fingers like this.
Yep, there you go.
No, so don't cover the back.
Yeah, you don't want to use your left hand.
now. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That's better.
Do you see? Wait, point it.
There you go.
Do you see her?
Yeah.
There you go. Got it now. So, spirit boxes
Mr. Nick.
are going to help us communicate with the dead throughout the night. We're going to be using various types all night long. So this one in particular is going to sweep through the FM radio stations. Wow, is it a noisy Monday night? I feel like I'm screaming at you guys. So this one is going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a quick rate. On your TV shows, it's usually the white noise, and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. So getting a disembodied voice like what they capture on television is usually very, very rare, and I would discredit most of what you guys see on TV. There's another method and way to use these. So when you're listening to this, Ariel, yes, this one's going to you. You're going to be the only one to hear this because you're going to have an earbud in. It's going to be sweeping through the FM radio stations very slowly. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow the song lyrics and DJs and commercials to come through. That's what you're listening for. I want you to tell me what the DJs say, what the commercials say, because it's going to be one word or two words at a time. It's not going to be a whole radio station for you to listen to a whole song. It's going to keep skipping. Do you kind of get the gist of that?
Yeah, yes. Wait,
Okay.
say it again.
Trust me, you'll get the gist of this as we kind of move along. The cool thing is that this one is recording. So as we're going through, you can turn the volume up and down and it won't influence the recording at all. So even if you don't hear anything tonight, because this is a very difficult job to do, it's not a big deal. I'm going to spot check this again in the morning to see if there's anything actually coming through. So you're going to have to undo the twist tie on the
So
earbuds.
you're covering the camera right now. The camera is right here. So
where my finger
look at
is.
this.
You see my
This is
finger?
where the camera is.
It's
So make
wheel.
sure you don't cover
So
that
don't
part.
hit the
As long as you
button,
don't touch
use
that,
the
then you're
wheel.
good. You can even cover this part exactly.
Thank you.
So what do? I just
Put an earbud in. You got to untie them first.
What about me? Am I cold or am I blue or am I red?
red.
Okay, thank God. Just needed that confirmation.
What do I do?
Eve, you seems pretty enthused
I'm
about.
very enthused.
So yours is you're going to
But
have
you
an
wanna hear
earbud
the
as well,
ghost voices
Okay.
to see if
but
they're talking
it's
to us.
not going to record.
I'm hearing commercials.
And
Well, yeah.
commercials, song lyrics, DJs.
Because you're gonna hear,
whatever.
because she's gonna be your actual FM radio. so
Correct.
you're gonna hear little pieces of FM radio.
Yeah,
And then
people normally only use one earbud.
So, yeah, I know. So she's gonna she's gonna hear she's just gonna hear ambient FM radio and
Correct.
and DJs. Just normal
And it's going to
stations
be
that are
moving so
broadcast.
fast that only one or two words are probably going to come out at a time. Now, the gist behind this is that it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of us. So if she hears "buy it now," I know that that's definitely going to be part of the 50% that doesn't mean anything. But if you
Right.
hear a specific date and it's somebody's birthday based on the location of where we are, that's obviously some kind of connection. I will wait for another clue to be able to verify that.
So if you hear any words that mean anything, tell us.
I
We're going to
see.
talk
That
more
means-
about this now. I'm going to stop everybody for just a second because you're going to have a million questions, and my apologies for not bringing this up ahead of time.
I saw something.
Our
moving,
first stop,
it was
I'm going
blue.
to explain everything more in detail.
Okay.
We're gonna capture it all.
That way you guys get a little bit more hands-on experience, so that way we can kind of get this party moving.
Okay.
So, and again, my apologies for not saying that ahead of time. I normally do because everybody has a lot of questions.
Why are the kids doing everything?
What's that?
Because we want you guys to be the most scared.
Oh, everybody's getting something. You're also going to have a set of earbuds.
Okay.
And by the way, I don't want earbuds back. Earwax is gross. You can keep it. So I buy
I
these
don't
in
need
bulk.
it, but
It doesn't matter. I don't want them. Get this plugged in for you. I dropped that bag. Thank you. All right, so yours is not recording, so I'm going to have to rely on you in real time of what we're actually capturing.
So I will hear static or something.
You'll hear
and I'll
static
be
and radio
like,
stations, song lyrics, DJs, commercials.
Okay.
Whatever voices you hear, if you can make out a word or a phrase, let me know what it is.
Okay.
So again, you'll have to untie the
Okay.
earbuds here, and your volume, I didn't get a chance to show you that, your volume is right here. So it's a wheel. You see
Okay.
my finger moving?
Yep.
Okay.
Is the volume up?
Nothing yet.
So this spirit box works a lot differently. So this one we don't have to listen to, but I love this spirit box because it gives me a lot of extra clues that are going around.
wait. So do I just listen to it now?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can. Again, it's completely up to you. However long you want to listen to it, when you want to listen to it. But yours is recording, so even if you miss stuff, it's not a big deal because we're all going to get the recording tomorrow morning.
But listen to it so he's talking.
Yeah, we got a lot more to cover, so I'm trying to keep.
But you should listen to it in the spots where there's
Correct.
spots, right?
But we are at 100.
Nope, nothing yet. But I did see something blue move.
So
You did?
This next spirit box is actually going to give us.
He said this is a haunted spot, so I'd point it maybe over there.
So where those three dots are, we'll work with
There's something in there. Oh, that's moving.
No, that's because you're moving it.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about. This is a phone.
Still moving, and I'm not
What
moving.
we're going to see tonight out of this isn't going to move anything. It's the other 20% based on the location the person is to something going on with one of us. But that's going to develop. We work with you. So basically, there's a database in here that has over 9,000 terms in it. It thinks, it's telling us that it's listening to the radio station, and it's Ariel, and then it's spitting out words.
And
So again, 80% of this is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare us. So the whole point of this is what words actually mean
there's
something,
something
and can we
up
connect
there,
it to what else?
but not moving.
So this one has game. When I want to see the words, I will come to you. Otherwise, we're going to be out here for 6 hours because you're going to want to show me every single word that pops up. When I want to see the word list, I'll come to you and say, hey, where are we at with that? And you're going to hit that little white box right there, and you'll be able to see the words when they come up. You'll be able to scroll through them, and then you
Hey, Mother. This is
You know what to do anytime that goes to a red or a orange. It's recording.
You guys have to imagine, I can set up 10 feet.
the light.
This device is called a millimeter, so it's also going to measure the same thing that Cal's device has at the top. So I'm kind of doing this on purpose based on anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on. So because that would be his second green dot. So again, this is a little bit more accurate. This one goes all the way up to 200, his goes to 25, just so you know. The bottom number is ambient temperature. Harlan finds something on his camera, we'll be able to debunk it pretty quickly based on the ambient probe at the top. The last thing that it has a REM pod built into it. So the REM pod, what does that mean? I just created an EMF field around this antenna. If something gets close to it and breaks the EMF field, it will go off. The closer it gets, the higher the pitch will go. Obviously, you can see that the range I have is pretty close, and it's going a little bit wonky because we are right in line with the electrical wires. So again, I keep it there's places. Oh, go for it. So for now, focus on the big red. You got it. That way you guys can compare notes. Richard.
What? God, Daddy?
You're getting the brand new stuff.
Oh.
So this is also a spirit box, but works completely different than everything else.
Okay.
So all the white noise that she's going to hear in between the radio stations is going to be erased from the spirit box. So what it's going to do is it's called an automatic noise canceling. So it's going to give us little things from time to time. If we can make out words out of it, obviously we might have something going on.
My Daddy.
He's got it. He's going to
Okay, look at me.
And it's
Got
doing
3
AM
words so far
and
from the
FM
radio.
at the
Low,
same time. So
Rhonda,
the red is FM,
organic.
blue is AM.
Oh.
So that way it's
conscious
kind of
ghost.
oh my gosh. Great. The only thing I'm going to ask is that you know where the mute button is, which is right here where my index finger is.
Okay.
It's not on right now, but we're still not getting it. So,
Right.
But I may say, let's go ahead and put that on mute. You're just going to click that button right there on the right, and it'll mute it. So that way I can kind of go over it. We're going to leave it on just for a few minutes before we can kind of really get going.
Okay. You mean I might suddenly hear words here?
Exactly.
Just suddenly.
And I've had this maybe a week. Like, it's that new thing. So it's, the words that
So,
come out of it have been very well.
So it's
Very
so that is
Okay.
connected to and this
Always is.
records.
Alright, so let's talk about why we start here.
Hey guys, come, let's listen.
This location behind me is called Big John's Tavern, as I'm sure you guys can read, right? So Big John, this place was named after a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. This was his bar. He used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets were coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. And one night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. And they leave pretty mad, and they come back the next night. And they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, puts his beer down, goes over, and just starts beating these guys up, just pounding them right into the floor. Now, a couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands in the wall. So, John gets up after being shot. He's the only one being shot, by the way. And he goes back to the bar and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in an ambulance. Now, the irony of the story is that nobody died in that story. So what makes this an actual haunted ghost story is the bar is haunted by the bullet hole. John's blood is in this building. So, with that being said, people that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headache. I will tell you that on this tour, fingers crossed, we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity. If anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately.
Someone just said somebody out there lying. I swear to God.
Somebody out there lying? Okay.
Just saying. I'm just reporting.
And that's
Should I
exactly
be
what you're
calling
going to
this out, or should I just be internalizing like what they're saying?
Both.
No, thank you.
Both. So I guess, again, because we have so much ground to cover,
Be quiet. Mostly.
hang on to it until I follow up.
Okay.
That's usually the best method, I guess is the right word I'm looking for. So, but no, by all means, when you hear stuff like that, I'm not lying. I'm telling a true story. It's just part of the reason why I tell it here.
The ghosts
Some
don't
ghost
lie.
is trying to rat you out here.
I know, right?
Wait. So like if we see, so it's like if we see like the blood or something, then we get like nauseous or something.
No, it is in the building. People that sit in the front where near the bullet hole used to be, because they probably filled it in with this new renovation. People usually can't finish their meals. People that because I tell people all the time to meet me here, right? So everybody just goes to dinner there. I can't tell you how many times people have gone in there for dinner and can't finish their meal because they feel Paranormal.
And this is popular? This
Very.
And they get a lot of repeat customers?
Well, it's just grand opened again from like 8 months ago. And they renamed it Big John's again.
Wow.
Okay.
So, let's talk about something other than our own health, because it's literally the scariest thing I'll probably tell you all my life. Now, big earthquake here in 1886. It's a big deal because this is the East Coast. We're not supposed to have earthquakes. This is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building behind me also wraps around the front on the East Bay side. They say a piece of that broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and it killed him. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, here's where that phrase that you just said might come into play. I don't have any proof of this story. It's usually just a great segue, so nobody's thinking about getting sick on my tour. There's no proof of somebody dying, that first death from that during that earthquake. It is just kind of a myth and a rumor that goes around town.
Local legend.
Yes.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
That's
his.
my phone.
Oh, it scared me.
Really was, yeah, that was.
Whenever
that was
you guys
hilarious.
book a tour,
That was your thing.
Yeah,
that's how I know when
could
you
tell
guys
it.
book a tour. That's somebody booking a tour for later this week.
That's it.
That's the text message note. Are you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right, let's get you guys moving. Let's go this way.
This is what you want. This is what you want.
Right?
Ghostbusters, what do you want? Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Got anything yet? See any lights going off?
Yes.
You got some oranges. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right, so I'll have to take note of those. All right, so every new location that we go to, I want you guys to kind of think of it as kind of a ghost hunting 101 course with me. We are going to be leveling up throughout the night, which means this is our simplest spot. This is a place normally when I have a group this size or bigger to go up to 10. It kind of gives me an opportunity to show you more things about your devices. That's why I said hang on to your questions. So with this location, this is the Big Red Barn lot. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. In the summertime, you can smell them really, really strongly. But it's kind of nice and smooth tonight, just so you guys know. But anyway, the only history here is really simple. It's a one-liner on purpose. This is the same Red Barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Whenever I'm telling you the history of a building or a location, I will always slow down on key words. We have a lot of spirit boxes out here tonight. When I slow down on something, over there it was 1947, New York, Giants, anything related to a tavern, right? So that's, I don't know if you noticed how I slowed down on that, but over here it's going to be the delivery, the milk, the eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So let's talk about spirit boxes, because there are a lot of them in play. This is not television. This is not, is somebody here? Because everybody wants to ask that. If somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So we do not ask yes or no questions on an actual paranormal investigation, because you will not get any paranormal proof out of a yes or a no. Like, we want specific details. That's what you guys are here for. That's hopefully what we're going to capture. So in a space like this, I would normally tell the spirit box teams to ask questions you already know the answers to. What color is the Big Red Barn? If somebody's here. Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red. However, a lot of you are using ones through the FM radio stations, and the word red might not be in the vocabulary of a DJ or a song lyric. But fire truck, blood, heart, those are acceptable answers because those three things are specifically red. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. I would take that as an acceptable answer. However, most of the night I'm going to require that two things are going off at the same time to be able to match things up for clues. For example, word list. Karen, right?
Yes.
So let's say Karen has the word art on her word list and you hear the number 40, Eve. That doesn't mean anything separately, but put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. We are that close where something like that could possibly come through. I use that as a real life example because it actually happened. Again, 40 in art doesn't mean anything to me in real time. I have to look things up. I don't know everything. So that's the whole point of this, is it's all about the research. So we're going to be dealing with stories tonight that have colonial times and 1800s. So that's going to be a lot of Georges, Elizas, Charleses. Like, we need to know who we're talking to. That's why I say that's a great start. Let's wait for a secondary clue. And I might not give you all of the information up front on purpose so you have a genuine experience. Like his EMF reader is just going ballistic. Do you have a reading on yours, Kobe?
No, I'm at 0 right
You're
now.
at 0 still? Okay.
I have
Oh, you
a
just
lot
gave me a
Oh,
4.5.
4.5.
I saw that.
I have a lot of
Went from
names.
0 and I turned around and went to 4.5.
Is there any way to turn the brightness down on some of these? No.
I don't know.
I'm getting a lot of names like Joseph, Harper, Olivia, Rhonda, and I just got Passage.
It's very odd. Olivia is one of those like 80% words. I see it all the time. So I don't know if Olivia, they thought when they were designing this, there was the word white. Again, it could be a last name. So I'll have to look at the roster and see how many of those names actually match up. So, and I'll also be looking for numbers, for jersey numbers, dates, ages, those kind of things when I'm looking at those things. So we are going to, let me talk about these cameras. We only have one camera in use tonight. So you're going to try to do two things for me, Mr. Harlan. You're going to try to keep a person in view of the camera. So you should have that camera with somebody in view. The reason why I asked to do that is because it kind of gives us that variable of temperature color. So it's much easier to see a cold spot moving by when somebody that's 97 to 99 degrees is in the frame. So the other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out, which is why I gave it to one of the shorter people in the group. So that's going to be pretty easy for him to do.
Don't point it to the sky.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is because that blue dot that's bouncing around is looking for a surface. So that way it'll automatically default to the sky because there's no surface. It doesn't know what to measure. So that's why, anybody that uses that camera, those are the two pieces that I ask for. Keep a person in, keep the sky out. Have you heard anything yet? You don't even have an earbud in.
No,
Okay.
I did. But
And I've been listening to yours, Richard, so nothing's coming up on yours yet. So I say we go much deeper than Tony's and football players. What do you think?
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
I got Headstone.
I heard that song.
You heard Headstone?
Yeah.
You heard the word Headstone?
Yeah. I thought it was like Buds On or something. I think it was Headstone.
There you go.
I just have somebody in
and I love the song of Ghostbusters because always says, I
I want to check on that word list. I want to see what's going on there.
Do you see me?
No. I actually, yes. I can see you, but nothing with you. Yellow and orange. Nothing with you. Of course, a car behind you. Oh no, mine's beeping.
I always have somebody in
Look at mine's very crazy. It's cuckoo crazy. Look at mine. Nothing's with you. Those ghosts, oh. I went all the way down. I go cuckoo crazy.
Are you seeing anything?
No. Nothing yet.
Your thing is nuts.
How many more hours?
But you guys are hearing things now, which is good. So the fact that you got the gist of like how to listen to this is a good sign.
Now,
Eve, you got
now
anything
it's
on all of yours?
Not anything notable.
Okay. Definitely got some motion things going on with you. Go ahead and keep clicking that side button.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen anything go above that green.
I keep in it. It keeps going back to the...
The last two words I got are alone and hear me.
What was I supposed to be? Wait, can you ask a question?
I know, I think I'm scared.
So that's one of those other phrases that I see often.
Oh, now it
But
just
again,
went
it
all the
might
way
be a clue
down.
that we have to be listening in on this
Mine's
particular side of the
great.
recording. So I look at the timestamp there and line it up with whatever the spirit boxes that we're recording are, so that way I can kind of see if there's another voice in there.
Right here.
Because I do capture disembodied voices. They're just not as common. When I say disembodied, I mean it's not radio.
Daddy, are you cold?
It's another voice coming through. It's
No, do I look cold?
like 7 to 20 radio.
Do I look warm?
See your stomach.
You know, I've had this from
A little bit blue.
half all the time. Well, not all the time, but enough for me to say I'm going to keep coming back. So,
Mine is cuckoo.
I've been doing this almost 3 years. At least 6 months.
Cal's like a lot blue.
Mine is totally.
Cal, you cold?
My locations, because again, I don't know everything. So I just told you I don't
You
know
have
which
blue
one
on your
so I
Cal.
have to dive into
No, I'm.
specific.
It is so cold.
Really don't have much.
Yeah, you musically on. Private tow away zone.
So what's the relation between the radio?
Stupid? Maybe we're asking the wrong questions. Because I'm getting hear me and alone.
We're just
And
discussing.
do we like ask her questions?
But after I told you after Toronto died, she would have been alone. She would've made it.
I'm very freaked out.
Me too.
Freaked out, man?
Okay, at least I'm not alone and being freaked out.
How's your camera recording going? Is it still going? You finding anything?
No.
And it keeps going
But
there.
when we were back at the other place, I saw like something blue move.
and I was cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a little cold in
I
there.
always keep somebody in the. You said keep somebody in
He's
the
okay.
picture.
He's doing great, man. He is. You see how I kind of set them up first because I knew kids love to watch stuff, and that's why I like to have you guys show up early.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's a gamer, he wants a screen.
Yeah, right.
He'll be good to go. Richard, have you heard anything?
I just hear bleeps, like not whole words.
Okay. Again, it's one of those devices. We might get 1 or 2 things out of it.
Who are you trying to tell me who the pallbearer was? The president of the pallbearer? Who that is? I think you're trying to tell me. Can you try to tell me? It's a great honor. You should be very happy to tell me. I love the history. I'd like to hear.
I think yours is almost on like a default. Like I haven't seen it really. You're getting red every once in a while. I've seen a couple like hyper
We're over there.
I'm also looking for patterns. Patterns in that. It'll also be if it goes off again. Go steady, don't reset it.
Nothing happening.
We gotta ask Eliza questions.
Oh, and I'm cold.
You cold already?
Another one.
I'm gonna call the girls one more time and then we'll call you back.
Tracks. Found tracks.
Heard anything else? Get you guys the answers.
I know.
Well, mine was cuckoo.
Alright, Carlin?
Yeah.
Can I put that white button on the back you got?
Got it. Yep, and then put the inside.
I've got nothing yet.
And now it just turned into green again. Now it's
Well,
going
it's got some
poo.
yellow. Or some orange, I mean.
Yeah, there's some orange. And now we
Richard's really getting into that device.
I thought he was on a phone.
like on a business
I literally
call.
thought he was on the phone. I'm like, oh,
It's
okay.
a business call. Serious stuff. All right, so
You're funny.
I love it. Well, again, I've only had this device a week, and I've only handed it out maybe 4 or 5 times, and you're the first person that looks like you're on a business call. Like, I absolutely love it. So first and foremost, I do a little bit of story time from time to time and show you guys a little bit about like who we were and what them. So first off, this is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. So again, her maiden name was Lucas. This is obviously a very prominent English woman, very gaunt face, the blue in the dress signifying the indigo. I was waiting for somebody to come up with what happened to the mansion. Did anybody ask?
No.
This is where you're standing right now. This is damage done by the Great Charleston Fire of 1861.
Fire. I feel fire.
Well, stop this
Not
one.
when
I
it's
don't-
really, really big.
I don't think you'd like this one.
So here's what happened with the fire. We can go ahead and stop his video. So go ahead and hit the square for me. Turn it to a circle. Great fire, whatever year it happened in here in Charleston, because we've had so many. This one in particular started up here on the right-hand side for you. We are at the green dot, and it literally went to the other side of the peninsula. Like, this was a giant fire. So this was a pretty big deal. The fact that they got away with as little damage as they did is any kind of natural wonder to me to begin with. So Eliza was not alive during this time of the fire. However, the house was still within the family. So we do get the term fire here, and we do get the number 61 here quite a few times for me to be able to be convinced that somebody's telling me it was the fire of 61.
How did she die?
And we're going to get into that.
Okay.
Anybody have any other particular questions that they want me to answer first? Obviously, Eliza's death is usually the first order of business. All right, we'll break into that.
It says improvement.
I was asked, well, after you said the thing about her losing it, I wanted to know how many kids she had. Or
Okay.
Maybe
Well, let's
that's why
start.
she called me stupid.
No, let's start with.
Maybe we're asking the wrong
Yeah.
We'll start with Eliza's death, because the children thing kind of falls in line after that, and it'll all make more sense. So Eliza was 70 years old when she died in 1793. That's a long time for a female to be living during colonial times. So let's point that out first and foremost. She was going to Philadelphia for treatments for whatever they thought she had. They didn't know what she had when she died, but after her medical records were reviewed later on, it turned out it was breast cancer. We didn't even know what breast cancer was in 1793. So she died in Philadelphia. She's buried in Philadelphia. That should also answer the question of why the tour named Stories in the Cemetery does not take you to actual cemeteries. You do not get a whole lot of paranormal activity where somebody's buried. You get some, but not like somebody's mansion 400 miles away that they loved in life. So that's why we come to spaces like this. Any guesses on the president that was the pallbearer? I know you were asking over
I
and over and
kept
over.
asking because I figured if I would really, nudge her,
Dude, it was 1793 when she died.
Oh, don't ask me about American history, man.
Okay,
Presidents,
fair enough.
I get it.
Fair enough. Washington, at his own request.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. So here's the interesting thing. You heard the number 1, correct, Ariel?
Yeah.
Referring to our first president. It is a very vague reference, but if I have the name George or the word president coming through in another spirit box, obviously we have one president. As in, who was the president that took you to your grave. Now, the interesting thing is that the Pinckneys, most of them were governors of some sort, and Washington only had 13 governors, because he only had 13 colonies. The Pinckneys were usually one of those governors. So he knew his governors really well, and he knew Eliza really well. So it was an honor for him to be able to carry her to her grave. Not to mention her indigo helped get the country started. So that was a pretty big deal. The children, let's get into them. There's 4 of them. So, real quick, we already know Charles was signed on the Constitution. The next child, his name was Thomas. He fought in the Battle of Camden. It was a Revolutionary War battle. He got shot in the left leg and was captured by the British. Waiting for peace. It left him on a cane the rest of his days. You see the clues that I have to look for? If the name Thomas pops up, I'm looking for battle. I'm looking for left leg. I'm looking for gunshot. Something along those lines to be able to prove what's actually going on. The next child is the one that I asked you not to poke the bear with. Baby George did not make it. We do not know exactly how old Baby George was. He does not have a headstone. He does not have a grave. His death certificate has the same month and year in the birth and death column. So here's where things get weird. My theory behind that is during the times, based on whatever Eliza's religious faith would have been, it could have possibly been that they would have kept the child mummified right here in the home, waiting to be buried with Mom. Mom is buried in Philadelphia. They would have transported that child all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage after being mummified for how many years? years. So it was well over 40 years. So again, would have kept that child here. It's a possibility. Don't quote me on that. You can't really Google mummified baby and not get a phone call. So again, it's not something that I can actually prove. But it is a great possibility. The last child, her name was Harriet. She's the only daughter. Horry County, well, I think take a step backwards. She married in Horry. Myrtle Beach is in Horry County. That's just north of here. So that's where she lived. About 2.5-hour car ride for us. But back then, it would have been a day's ride in a horse and carriage. Instead, it was lots of letter writing. If Harriet does show up here, it's lots of words around letter writing. So ink, paper, pen, those kind of things.
I just got lead and candle.
That's very interesting indeed. Because it would have definitely been ink and quill. But I don't, and she would have probably written by candle. I don't know that they would have had lead. I'll dive into that. Like, that's very interesting. Yeah, I don't know for sure. I'd have to dive in. So let me see what's going on with that. Eliza Lamb was the first wife. So Lamb and Lucas were the two maiden names we were looking for. Eliza was 22 when she married Charles, who was 45. So again, that's why I say according to today's standards.
Oh.
So again, not sound so horrible after you actually get the answers. But when you see here double the age, it's kind of like, ew, that's kind of gross. But at the same time, 22 and 45 is not bad. So last night was funny because I had a gentleman on the tour. He's like, oh, those were the exact ages of me and my wife when we got married. I'm like, wow, that was interesting. So yeah, 23 years between them. I think that about covers all of the questions that I gave you guys to kind of probe with. Did anybody ask anything, Road? Anybody go off the cuff?
I tried to ask her what her favorite flower was in the garden.
Mm-hmm. Did you get anything?
I didn't get it.
Okay. I can't prove that. I can say that people have asked what like her favorite color was, expecting the color blue because of the indigo, and normally the word purple.
When I was asking her that, I got alone and hear me.
It might be on a spirit box recording, so we'll take that for what it's worth. So here's what's going to happen from here. You're not going to record until we get to the next spot. So when we get into the alley, it's about 3 blocks from here, you can start recording again. So you're going to be the only video cameraman tonight. I did not break out the other camera. Spirit boxes, I want you guys listening for names. I'm not going to tell you which names or what gender, so kind of listen along the way and let me know what you hear once we get there. Otherwise, you guys are going to all try to catch up with me apart. This space is what we call an intelligent ghost, where we can ask answers and get the answers. In the next space, it's not that way. It's a residual ghost. Remember, you're on a ghost hunting course. So what this is basically like watching a movie over and over and over again, and I'll explain more about that once we get there. But I do like to point out, when we first got to this area, I played a little trick on you and you all passed with a fail. When we got here, I told you, Spirit Box teams, that I would not be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. I do that on purpose to see who's going to have George Washington subliminally put into their brain and give me that answer before I even really get truly started. And even when I go around the horn of who wants to answer that question, I'll pass with a fail. So good job. You're not subject to subliminal messaging. So I am a wordsmith. I am allowed to play games. That's what I'm trained to do. So any other questions about the Pinckneys before we move on? I'm trying to keep the boys very occupied.
They'll be.
They're going to be good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to this crazy alley so I can show you more up there.
Yeah, you wait till you get to the alley to turn the camera on, okay?
Okay.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Freaked out?
Yeah, really freaked out.
You're really freaked out?
Yeah. More freaked out about the story he told us back about Big John.
No one died.
Yeah, but there was a ghost there.
This is like somebody's house.
Yeah, it still freaked me out though.
So, Karen, come on up here with me. I need to get you my phone number.
many more hours?
buddy?
Mom, how many more hours?
What?
How many more hours?
Not that.
What? What?
Ready?
What, Mommy?
Good.
Sorry, I don't exactly know what to do.
And make sure you do it
Other
long
way.
ways.
Yep.
Long way, long way.
Yeah, and stop the video at this point and restart it. People that actually used to live here.
I got one.
Yes.
Brandon.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've always sent somebody in there.
Yeah, yeah, right. So the interesting thing is when I say people lived here, it wasn't a whole lot at any one given time. It was like 4 to 6 people. So the interesting thing is about every 6 to 7 weeks they get the same 2 names over and over and over again. Those 2 names are Benjamin and John. Now those 2 people actually lived here in 1801. Do I have anything significant about 1801? I do not. I just get the same names over and over again every 6 to 7 weeks. Right now we're in that loop about week 4 or 5. Just so you guys know where we're at. So I wasn't truly expecting it. Every once in a while we'll get a third name that pops up. That name is Jane. That's a third person in 1801 that lived here named Jane. So I don't find it coincidental at all. Now, here's my theory behind that. You're standing on Belgian tiles. These bricks have been here since 1735 and they're made purely of granite. Granite comes from the earth. If you know anything about the paranormal world, you know like the word limestone usually stirs up some activity. Anything that comes straight from the earth, like granite, is said to hold on to the consciousness of memories because it's been here for so long. So, my point is we're dealing with the stone tape theory here where I'm getting the same things over and over and over again. And like clockwork, I can almost call it. So, with that said, before people lived here, the Freemasons had their Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get the term like Freemason, Mason, Brick, and I've even had the term Illuminati show up 4 or 5 times last year. I lost count. So first off, I want to know who the heck's talking about the Illuminati on the radio, because that's where I heard it from a radio station. But again, only when I'm in this alley does that term show up. Take it for what it's worth. They did do an archaeological dig underneath where we're standing, figure out that these people were lower class. So it makes sense because the other side of the wall would have been across the street on East Bay Street. The smell of low tide would be coming through here quite a bit. So the rich people of Charleston are going to put up with that. Have you guys been down to the Battery where the houses are skinny and they go long back?
Maybe, yeah. We might have walked by there today. Yeah.
There's a couple, you're going to see that a lot in Charleston.
Okay.
A couple of reasons for that. First off, it keeps the smell of low tide out because we have piazzas. That's a front door with a porch, or a porch with a front door rather. So it keeps that smell out. Then they open up the second story window and it actually cools off the house because the cool air from the water is going to go up into that second story window and cool down the whole house. So it kind of air conditions it. The other reason the houses are skinny in the front is because they were taxed based on how much street side they took. So the skinnier you are, the less taxes you're going to have. Now the Pinckney Mansion that I just showed you was broad against the street. That's bragging rights. These politicians, they're outside the city walls. They're going to do whatever they want, and they can pay the taxes. They don't care. So again, bragging rights. That's why the house is broad versus skinny and one long back. I kind of stall here for a second and let you know like what's going to happen through the rest of the night, so everybody kind of has a great gist, especially when we have anti-pantses moving around, which is fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I want them to have fun. But I'd like everybody to know like what we're going to be working on next. So we are going to go to another alley. However, I cannot take you through it. So it's one of those alleys where I've been booted out because it is considered residential at the end, and you guys joined the annoying tour because we have blinky lights and noisemakers and that kind of thing. So it is residential. However, I still tell the story outside the alley because it still stirs up enough activity through those spirit boxes that we'll probably have at least 1 to 2 things coming through. It's almost a guarantee at that spot. After that, we'll kind of see what the spirit boxes are doing. I'll see if there's any myths and legends I need to tell based on what you guys are all hearing or seeing on your spirit boxes. After that, we'll deep dive into that female pirate, and that's a crazy whopper of a story. So if anybody's into pirates, like this is kind of your deal, because I had to do a lot of research for this pirate story. I don't like pirates at all, but there are some
female pirate.
Let me put it this way. I didn't believe
The camera is right here. So every time you hold it, like you gotta
route things pretty quickly. Yeah, and we'll talk about that here. All right. Yeah, I was like, damn it, pirates. Not into pirates. What do you think, buddy? You catching ghosts?
Not yet.
Alright, so as we exit the alley, I'm going to have them stop the video.
Okay.
Just because we'll be in a neighborhood.
It's funny, Joe.
It was big.
It was a joke. We were trying to
No, we're good.
Terrible news, but I have to wear different shoes every night because of the set. Otherwise, my back will
yeah, this looks like this is all intense.
Okay, how are you gonna turn your camera off?
All right. Oh, hit the button.
Bye, bye. Bye, bye.
You're going to hold it nice and still, just like that. So nice and still. Watch your hand is in front of the camera. There you go. He's on it now. All right, so welcome to Philadelphia Alley. Yeah, it's all relevant. So they had a lot of terms along the way. Eve, did you hear anything?
Hearing a ton, no.
Okay. Again, it's not the easiest job.
No.
Definitely not the easiest job. All right. So here's what's going on here. This place used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Killing a ton of men, witnesses. You see where all this is going?
Yeah.
Okay. They also gave me a number that I will explain what the number means once I'm done. Because the number is definitely relevant.
She heard a number.
The number shows up here almost, I would say at least 3 out of 7 nights a week. I get the same numbers. So, here's what's going on here. Philadelphia Alley was Dueler's Alley. We all talk about one duel because we can prove it. It's a duel that actually happened. It occurred. I could show you the proof. But anyway, a doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney handling all this money for her. The attorney thinks that the doctor's just after her cash, so he tells her, get rid of the doctor. So he moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her money. As he's coming into town, the coachman that was bringing him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. He had a gunman on the inn that he was going to stay at. Somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs. Now I'm going to stop there for a second because Ralph Isaacs, what do you have?
I just got difference, decimal, and then attacked in quick succession. Sorry.
Attacked is good. Not necessarily, but again, very relevant stuff. Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. You guys are ghost hunting. You're not just hearing stories, so initials mean something. We had the letter E pop up as we were entering the Eliza Pinckney Mansion site. So just to kind of give you that gist. But when our eye shows up here, I need a second clue, so I need to know who it belongs to. But anyway, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a guy inside, he's going to kill you, and then he's going to take all your money. But I have some friends at 59 Church Street, and they'll rent you a room. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off, so he's making his own money, proving his point that he's not just after Amanda's money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you go to has a whistler, just so you know. You guys are about to go to Savannah? I think there's 2 whistlers in Savannah. Whistler ghost stories. But this one, in particular, is relevant. Now, the doctor and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. So he gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and the doctor thought the new actress in town was great. Thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing. Then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. So obviously it gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, places an ad in a paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this nasty ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley, we're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove the point that he was willing to forgive his friend and have the courage to show up for the fight. However, Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph also proved his point that he's still angry. The doctor's friends pick him up, they carry him home to 59 Church Street, and he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Remember, he's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
He probably tried to heal himself by bleeding it out. So they say as you walk through this alley, and you're gonna see like there's tours that go down there. They go about halfway because that's as far as we're actually allowed to go. It's just not fair for us 7 people to try to investigate when there's parties of 20 down there. However, we did get obviously a lot of things came up along the way, which I'm very excited about. So, but they do say that you can hear the whistles from the doctor as you walk through here. When I used to take my tours down here, it was everybody stop listening to your spirit boxes because you're going to use the audio. We're just going to walk through slowly. And that way when you guys have your audio, it gave you something to listen for. But I want you to remember, if you're going to go down there on your own and you turn on your voice recorders, everybody walking down Cumberland or Queen Street, we're all locals, we know the story, we're going to throw a whistle down the alley to throw you off. We all do it. So I do it every single night on my way back to my garage.
Oh.
So it's just one of those pieces. It's not going to be it's going to be very faint, a very light whistle in the back, and it is always really, really quiet. So here's why I got thrown out of there. At the end of this alley is a giant, beautiful mansion. And at the end of this alley, there's bricks that are older than this side because the alley didn't always come through to Cumberland Street. This is an addition. So the bricks on the other side are older, which means there are bricks on the other side that have fingerprints and handprints from being sun-dried by slave children. So everybody wanted to stop and put an EMF meter near it or a spirit box, but I treat that the same way I would any kind of grave. It's just a matter of respect. The kid's not staring at this brick in the afterlife. However, November 26th, the new neighbor came out pretty angry, and I wasn't supposed to be there, and I never went back because November 27th, 2020 was Thanksgiving. I got a phone call the next morning, so I had to reroute my tour to where we're going tonight, and I knew nothing about pirates. So when I get up there, I tell my team, we're going to wing it and see what happens, because I don't know the story. Somebody hears the number 300 on their spirit box. I have no idea what it means. Somebody else hears the word Ann, the name Ann. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what 300 is, but I'm going to dive in. Ann Bonnie's...
I just heard a whistle, I'm not kidding. I swear.
I'm not surprised. But
it was like a really quick one, but...
I'm not surprised. We've had them here in the past. Because we're not walking through it anymore, I've gotten them in the past where they hear the word whistle or they hear an actual whistle.
It was an actual whistle.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Sorry.
Oh, we didn't
I
explain
felt I needed to, like, I've been not contributing a lot, so I feel
No.
it was my time to shine for a moment.
No, they're not synced up. They're not synced.
What?
Oh, well.
Like, they're not hearing the same thing.
No, I realize, but what wouldn't she hear it also? I mean, still,
because she's probably on the other side of the FM
I keep
spectrum.
turning mine
I
too.
see.
Like I'm not staying on the same
I see.
frequency either.
No, you mean
Or
the volume.
yeah.
And if she doesn't have, and she's not listening, then she's not listening.
But would you say this whistle? People actually hear it without machines? I mean, if you hear a whistle, you hear it with this.
Mm-hmm. Or on the voice recorder.
Yeah, but I mean without a voice recorder.
Without a voice recorder, yes. They also say you can hear gunshots, but I don't have any proof of that. I have proof of the whistles, but no gunshots. So the number 7, by the way, is relatable to the doctor's birthday, which is July 7th. 7-7. Yeah, July, a little too far from here for that to be relevant. But I will take the number 7 because it does show up here very often. Because again, it's 7-7, not just the 7th of July, but July is the 7th month.
Yeah.
So again, 7-7 shows up a lot. But getting back to the number 300 on the Anne Bonny story, Anne Bonny her trial was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. So it's kind of like karma telling me, stop telling this story and you need to go up that way. So let's go up to our next spot and let's see what else we can capture. So let's go ahead and stop your video.
I bet like another hour and Daddy, what?
One with the little antenna that comes out.
Yeah. Am I supposed to be like recording?
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Yep, and it's faced the right way, so you're good.
Oh, and I also used that and this.
I heard Mary.
expect she got.
Oh,
That
and
smile.
there's the phone over there that
She got expect.
And I just got to expect.
and phone over there that he's using, and the camera.
So empty.
So all these computers are from Ghostbusters, even from that sign.
Someone came
Even
up to me and
from
said, well,
this.
you know, it gets so hot down here, do you think the sand is turned to glass?
Oh, no.
Thank God I have got the world's best straight-on poker face. Well,
So I'm going to end on a good note. You have made
everybody,
us chat.
so
Let's bring everybody in.
Everybody that's okay.
Guys, come over here.
All right. So, first and foremost, I'm very excited that the name Mary came up. We also have